Hey, Scott Austin here from JadePuma. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can change the colors in your product seals in your store. So I've set up your theme and the seals in such a way that you can change the colors through some theme settings that I've added to your theme. So here's an example of some product seals. This product's actually showing a lot of them. We've got 7 of them here. Some of these show for every product in this store, and some of them are dependent. They're based on tags or something. These are all based on tags, so the product has to be tagged a certain way for those product seals to show up. And the seals are meant to map to the overall theme of the site, the color scheme of the site. But let's say you want to adjust them. For example, the brown underneath the fair trade here, that ribbon it doesn't contrast enough with the background. Or if you want to change different colors, we can do those also, or any of the colors. So where it's located is right now I'm in theme customization. So this is where you'd be on theme customization. If you open it up, if you scroll down to the bottom on the left over here, you'll see there's theme settings. And in your theme, I've added under theme settings a JadePuma elements. So if you click on JadePuma elements, there's going to be all sorts of things that I've added to your theme for you. And one of them somewhere is going to be product seals. And here you can see there's 5 colors to be set for product seals and then 3 size variables. So the 5 colors on these seals right now, there's 4 colors being shown. I've got another one, which is the accent 2 color, which I'll show you in a minute here. Um, so it's, primary colors, usually the text, and it can be anything, right? I just tag them a certain way. So all you have to do, the highlight color is that ribbon underneath the text. So let's say I want to try something that's green, but make that much, dimmer green. It's too, But here you can see how easy it is to get on the color wheel and just play with the colors, or put in the absolute code if you know what that's gonna be for something. So there, if I wanted my seals, I've changed that light tan to a light green. Boom, I'm done. Right, you change it across all the seals on all of your products. And this store has something like 20 different seal options that pop up depending on the different qualities of the site. So, how do you figure out which one of these does what? It's actually pretty easy. You just go in and play, right? So, accent color, start playing with that, and it's pretty obvious what the accent color is controlling. Um, as with any of them, the background color, and you can see pretty easily, how drastic the contrast can be if you want them to be. I try to make my product seals not too bright, not too contrasty, to not detract, right? I want the customer to see that add to cart button first and foremost. And the product seals are meant to be just gentle reminders. So I would never have something as drastic as these showing up, but I'm just doing it right now to show you, how you can just play with the colors and make things happen and change them as you want to change them. So that's colors and the seal size desktop. So I've got 2 sizes for these icons, one for desktop and one for mobile. Right now, they're set to be 120 pixels tall and wide. I can change that down to 75 or any number that I want to. And I may need to save to have that change take effect. Let's see if that happens if I scale it up. Yeah, the size one doesn't take effect immediately like the color ones do, but it just changes the sizes of your. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to refresh the page because I don't want to save these colors. So it's going to refresh that page. And I'll show you these seals actually in use in the actual store. We were under men's shorts. It's these shorts right here, right? So here you can see these are the set to 120 pixels in size. So if I go back to theme customization, I can can say, well, let's make that 160, save that, and look at, the change that affects on the front end. So you're in control of the size of your seals. You can make them larger or smaller, and you can also space them closer together or farther apart. So, and that's where the padding comes in. So there's also a seal size for mobile phones. And then padding, you can, take the padding up to 15 pixels, for example, space them much farther apart. And obviously that's going to just, fit less per row will be the impact of that. Right. So what I normally do, but then you can adjust it based on personal preference. What I normally do is I set them to be about 110, 120 with a 5 or 6, sometimes 10 spacing, and that looks like this. And you'll notice that the seals wrap rather nicely. It was 3 per row a minute ago, now it's 4. So the CSS wraps those, and you can just change the spacing or the size, and it'll render cleanly based on the results of those changes. So that's how, and it's pretty simple, right? That's how you update your product seals colors or size and spacing. Now I'm going to dig into a little bit deeper because I want to explain a little bit of how these seals are made. So let's say you have these seals in your store, and then I made them, right? But you want to add more seals to your store. So I'm going to explain to you a little bit of the concept, not all the details behind it, because it can get a little bit tedious in the technical details, but I want to explain the concept of what's going on here so you understand those. So these files are normally I used to make seals out of PNG files, right, which are good for solid color graphics. These are actually SVG files, which stands for Scalable Vector Graphics. So they're vector files, not raster files. So a PNG is a raster file. It's pixels on a page. So a vector file it can actually be rendered as text, right? There's actually a text file that drives this SVG. So to give you a real example here is I'm going to open up one of these product seals, the spandex one, the first one here. I'm going to double click on that SVG file, and it's going to open it up in Inkscape, which is open source software, so it's free software that I use for making and editing SVG files. And here, over here, this is the XML so this is the actual text that renders this file over here, right? And to prove that even more, I'm going to open this file up in Sublime, which is my text editor, and you'll see the entire file is just text. So this is how a vector file is created through text, and then all browsers know how to interpret this text and draw the vector file from it. So to have the ability to dynamically change color on the fly, I couldn't make these PNGs because I can't control the colors of PNGs through CSS like I can with an SVG, right? So I created these as SVG files, and each one of these SVG files is a text file that's embedded in your theme. So here, for example, here's the theme editor, and 4-way stretch. This is the liquid file that I created, added to the theme, and it's just that SVG text file in there, right? So I just copied it from, I actually opened it up like you saw a second ago in the text editor. I copied all this and dropped that into a liquid file inside the theme, and then I render that when necessary. So here I am, here's my product seals liquid file, and you can see what I'm doing each time. So 4-way stretch is farther down. So if the product tag contains 4-way stretch, then render 4-way stretch, which is a snippet file, right? It's stored in the snippets in the theme, and that snippet is just the SVG file, which works as HTML. SVG text can be embedded inside of an HTML page without a problem. And browsers totally don't understand how to do it. And then the cool thing is, all these elements, right? If I go back to my Inkscape file here, all these elements I can assign classes. Just like I can assign a class to a paragraph or an H1 or a div or a span in HTML, I can assign classes to these vector elements inside of this SVG file. And then I can use those classes to adjust the fill color, which is exactly how I'm adjusting color. So for example, on this element here, if I look at this path, I've got a class assigned to it of background, right? So this class is background. And then what I've got going on here is when we adjust this background color, there's some code elsewhere that says take this color and use it for all the classes of background inside of SVGs. So what I have to do when I create these SVG files, let's go back to the folder here. When I create an SVG file, a new one, I draw the elements the way I want to, and then I go in and edit them like I was just showing you here, and I take each one of those elements and assign it the class that I want it to have. So this element here, you'll notice, has a class of accents. This element here is going to have a class of primary right there. So each one of these, and this ribbon here has a class of highlight right there. So each one of these solid colors is assigned a class inside of the SVG file, and I, across all the SVG files that I make, use the same classes over and over again, and that's the way you get that uniform behavior across all of these, because I'm using the same class taxonomy across all the files. That allows me, with 5 simple elements here, to change the colors of all the product seals. And I just want to show you that 5th color, because that is cotton. Sometimes I use 5 colors in an SVG, a product seal. Not often, but sometimes. And this may not come up inside of here we go. So there's the 5th one, cotton, right? So and I can change that accent color to anything I want it to be. So, but sometimes I use a second accent color. So it's background for the scallop, and in the middle here, it's highlight for the ribbon, it's primary for the text, it's accent for the stars and the element in the middle, and sometimes accent 2 for the element in the middle also. So that's how you can edit the colors and sizing of your product seals, and it's a little bit of an explanation of how that is set up in case you want to add more seals to your store. So thanks for watching.